on when we talk about the project. So, we'll kind of jump in as needed.
Cool. So should we start?
Yeah, whatever you guys like. If you want to get going right away, that's perfect.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Zach and Mr. Jared are here. They are from the team of Two Lands, and let's get to know about this. In this AMA, we are going to have three segments. The first one is about introduction, and in the second segment, we will hear from the Twitter community. They have left some questions to ask, and in the third segment, I will unmute some people and they will show their concerns with the team. Let's get started. So, Mr. Zach and Mr. Jared, could you guys please introduce yourself and your role in Two Lands? How did you get started?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start, and then Jared will jump in. My background is mostly in service and recruiting. I actually got my start in a recruiting office, looking into recruiting for mostly tech and finance. I am a United States citizen. Jared and I are both kind of young men. I'm a little younger. I'm 28 years old. We both live in Connecticut, which is on the East Coast, about an hour from New York. And yeah, I got my start in recruiting. I definitely enjoyed that for a while, but it wasn't my favorite thing. I got really good at helping to build teams in the tech and finance space, and identifying talent in that space. But I did move on to a service-related vocation for a while, and that's actually where Jared and I came into contact. Was we were connected by a colleague and mutual friend who put us in touch with a restaurant group here in Connecticut / New York area. And so together now during the pandemic, Jared and I have been working on managing a couple stores for that group. So that's where we got in touch at first. As far as crypto goes, I got started a couple of years ago, primarily, but I've always had an interest, and I've been keeping my ear to the ground for a little while. And we kind of got started on this project a little over a year ago. So it's been a long time coming. But I'll let Jared introduce himself now. Feel free to hop in, my friend.
Sure. All right. Well, hey, everyone. My name's Jared. I live in Connecticut as well. We're about, like you said, 45 minutes to an hour out of Manhattan. A lot of the people that kind of live in this area commute to Manhattan from work. It's a pretty easy train ride down to New York City. So we're fortunate to be, in such a nice area where there's a lot of industry. I'm 44 years old. I'm married with a 12-year-old daughter. Let's see. I got my first start in finance back in around year 2000. I'm a little older than Zach. I'm 44. And my first job was at Morgan Stanley. And I was a financial advisor there for the better part of 2 years. After that, life took a kind of an interesting turn. And I was hired and essentially went on the road for 13 years as a recording artist, as a drummer. And I played all over the world, which was very cool and experience I'll never forget. It wasn't until the birth of my daughter in 2010 that I retired. Well, actually just prior, 2009, where I retired, and I kind of got back into the restaurant industry, which I had always done prior, restaurant management, what have you. And then I eventually was a partner at a restaurant up until COVID. And then I sold my shares. And then it was one of those things where my buddy Joe, who owns the restaurant group that Zach and I are employed with, basically said, "Hey, can you come help us out, get this stuff, started again after COVID?" And that's where Zach and I met. And that's, we started this project actually 1 year ago, just over a year ago, we've been working on this project. So it's been a fun ride. Regarding my, so I've always had an interest in trading ever since, I had all my licenses back then, my Series 7, my 66, my 63, my Series 31, options trading, all that kind of stuff. So I'd always had an interest in the way equity markets trade. And I'd always done a little trading on the side all these years with various different sectors. So it's always been of interest to me. And then, crypto, same deal. About 2 years ago, it's funny. You probably hear all those stories. Like, I wish I got into Bitcoin back in whenever, 2011, whatever the year, 2008. I had an interesting story too. It was brought to me by a friend, and I was investing into different, stocks at the time. And I was like, this is too new for me to touch. I didn't see the vision, and I didn't see the vision probably until about 2 years ago, when I realized that, this was going to be the future. Mass adoption was going to be the future. And now it's interesting is, how it trades in tandem with the regular equity markets. That's where, I see a lot of my training that I originally had start coming into place regarding charts. So anyways, that's like the nutshell as far as kind of how we got this project going. It was kind of deep rooted in our passion too. So when we first started, Zach and I, we were trading together and giving each other tips and telling each other which projects we liked. And then we started to, to say to ourselves, like, look, I think this is an opportunity, and I think we
Yeah,
I
glad
think we
to
could
know
do
about it.
this. Yeah, we were
Yeah,
basically
nice
like,
to meet you once more.
yeah, thank you, likewise. So
Thank you.
we came up with the idea. We were like, look, I feel like there's a need in the space. Like I feel like, the meme coins were getting really hot and they were popping up, and we understand, the sexiness of meme coins and the community and how strong they are. But for us, we wanted to see if we can do a hybrid of sorts where, for us, philanthropic, basically we wanted to start a very high mission project, that we could find something that we loved, that we could use blockchain technology to help support, to help fund various different pieces within, our mission. But then we had to find in an area of commonality that we both found interesting and intriguing, that we were both passionate about. And it came rather quickly. It turned out it was ancient history. And then it was an immediate, we just hit the ground running. Two lands for those of you, and I implore everyone, if you can, since this is a voice and not a video chat, it might make sense for you to get over to our website, twolandstoken.com, and kind of check out our white paper. Zach and I tend to like to just kind of scroll through the white paper, and just talk about various things. And you might be even better prepared for questions, later for that as well. But just to give a little history, Two Lands is actually what ancient Egypt was called. It was called Two Lands before it was known as Egypt. It was divided into upper and to lower. And it wasn't until about 3100 BC when it was united. So that's where the name comes from. But there's a lot of duality in ancient Egyptian lore. And for us, the two lands are kind of the world we live in, and then the metaverse, right? So there's a lot of duality. We speak about it often, and there's in our project in and of itself, there's a lot of Easter eggs, and there's a lot of double meanings and triple entendres and all that kind of fun stuff. We're kind of being dubbed as, like, consider the American movies, like the Indiana Jones meets the Da Vinci Code of cryptocurrency, because we're big into hieroglyphs, cryptics, ciphers, puzzles, all that kind of fun stuff. Because in all honesty, we're having a lot of fun with this project, and but it's a high mission project. We're looking to help fund ancient archaeology and research around the world, starting at the Giza Plateau. So that's the Cliff Notes version of kind of who we are. Zach, would you like to talk a little bit more detail about that, or do you have a question right off the top that you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I'd love for the moderator, if she wanted to jump in, feel free to ask a question. But I'd be happy to kind of give a little bit more color on that, and jump in real quick, give my thoughts. All right, yeah. So, Jared kind of hit the nail right on the head. We found an intersection, in passions, and that was where we started, because we find that we work best when we're passionate about something. We think that everybody kind of falls into that category to an extent. You always work harder when you like what you're doing. So we started there, and we really love ancient history. It's something that is incredibly exciting for us. It's something that has always held our attention. We know we're not alone, and there is quite a community, built around it. But I think beyond all else, what we're really digging at is our origin story. And the human species has been on this planet. It's documented, for hundreds of thousands of years. Now, our written documentation exists only in about 6,500 years of that. So in terms of what is out there and what has been recorded by us in our current civilization within the context of the human species is probably and likely not the full picture. So that was truly the inspiration for the project. But we dug a little bit deeper even, and we tried to identify a real need within that community. So we looked into ancient history, we looked into history, we looked into academics in general, and we really started to identify a need in the form of money. There is a significant issue associated with the idea of a modern academic. Most of them are funded via private or public grants, or they're working for universities or some kind of an academic or research-based institution, at which point they have sponsorship dollars, but they don't necessarily get paid for their work per se, in the sense that they will hand off their work to publishers who put it out there for us to consume. And those publishers get paid on that academic's money or that academic's work, but they don't kick any of it back. There are no royalties like in music or as an actor. If you have a high profile and you contribute to the success of a movie, you're then rewarded going forward. That's not the case in academics. And it creates this publish or perish mentality where a lot of academics who are, very talented, really, litigious in their work normally, are at times pressed to either publish or perish. They either get their name out there, they continue to, try and move the needle, get something, that they can get support with. It's a generation tool. All of their work, they're working so that they can keep working. And it's kind of a crappy model. So we wanted to make a bit of a difference when it came to that. And we really tried to identify ways in which we could create revenue streams through blockchain technology that we could then push towards these initiatives. So there are lots of different projects out there that stall because of poor timing, because of political issues, because of red tape, because of money, because of whatever it is. Hidden costs abound in this space. And we wanted to remove some variables. So money is a huge one. And that was kind of the focus initially, but awareness as well. A big part of the reason why we're doing this project is to just generate awareness about the issue at hand. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it as well. And I figure now we'll hop into some of the technicality. So what we're talking about selling right now is our governance token, our 2Lands governance token. And when I talk about revenue streams and, using them, we do conceptualize a DAO. We're building a DAO in which revenue streams can be collected and then distributed via our community. So 2Lands holders, when they interact with our DAO, will have the ability to hopefully affect some change with regard to this issue that affects all of us. And so that's the general picture. Our 2Lands token is that governance token for the interaction with the DAO. It is a hyperdeflationary token. It does have a number of interesting burn mechanics. There is some rebase functionality built into it that includes static reflections to the tune of about 0.8%, as well as a static burn that is about 1.2%. So 2% total tax on all transactions for rebase functionality. Did you guys have any questions that you wanted to kind of direct this with? I wanted to be sensitive to the way that you wanted to run this. And I figure I'll get an opportunity to jump in.
Yeah, could you please talk about the tokenomics, the number game?
Yeah,
How much is going where?
absolutely. So the tokenomics, I will, before anything else, kind of quickly say that we will be working on this economic model over the next couple of weeks. There will be another version of this white paper put out. This is our V1. We have currently employed a consultancy, a strategic consultancy based here in the United States, but run by a gentleman who's heavily involved in the blockchain space and actually built a project of his own that took off and did 3,700%, I believe, in about 2 weeks. He is going to be helping us to kind of finalize the numbers here. So that said, I'll jump right in. The way that we're doing this is we are scheduling burns, massive burns. We took a page out of most of the meme coins and books and went with a large mint. We went 1 trillion tokens. They are already minted on the blockchain. We are simply waiting for deployment. So we have scheduled about 30% of our burns, whether they be sacrificial or holder burns. I would encourage everybody to hop on over to the white paper and give those a read. They each require their own page. They are rather unique when it comes to the way that they're executed. They are scheduled. There is an initial burn of 5.55% upon mint of the public sale. And then there are scheduled burns depending on certain conditions being met by the project, including holder number, as well as a time-related sacrificial burn that will occur once a month as the full moon reaches its zenith over the Giza Plateau. That in total will account for about 29.8% burn. And then remember, there is a little bit of rebase functionality built into the token itself that creates further deflationary effect. We are keeping 10% in our reserve. That will be for liquidity, additional liquidity that will be needed for the market. It will also be needed for support. Our ecosystem is going to include not just what is on this white paper, but not to tease too much, Jared and I are working very closely with a couple of good teams on building out some additional utility that will be included in the V2 of the white paper, but will also be released upon initial public sale of our Two Lands token. And that ecosystem of sorts, if you wanted to call it that, would require a reserve of sorts in order to prove stable. 7.2% will be kept for the ecosystem. We will be paying out some developers. We will be using marketing money and marketing out of our own ecosystem, in the sense that we would like to reward our holders from time to time and potentially do airdrops for specific communities. We would like to, have some currency in reserve for that purpose. 10% will go to the team. We've already decided that will be locked. It is locked. So the 10% that will go to the founding members, myself, Jared, and our other core member, that will all be locked for 18 months via third party. Blockius.io is likely where that will be locked up. Me personally, I can tell you Zach's tokens will be they'll be locked forever. 2+ years, no matter what, but pretty much forever. About 15% is going to be going to the initial liquidity offering post public sale. So that will be in circulating supply. 20% will be going to the public sale that we're talking about right now. We've already sold 8% of our private sale. We sold that for about $80,000, and that all in together should create about 43% in circulating supply, with another 30% scheduled for burns, and that will be our economic model, most likely. We're essentially going to be, putting out 43% into circulating supply. We'll be scheduling another 30% for burns, and we'll be keeping just 17.2% for the team and ecosystem, while 10% will stay in the reserve wallet. Do you guys have any questions before I move on to the next bits?
Yeah, let's move towards the Twitter segment. Let's see what people have.
I would just add to.
Sure.
I think what's also important just to add is about our private sale. I think that's important.
Please do it. Yeah, people would like to know about that.
Yeah. So the private sale was 8%. So one of the things that were important, being that United States, was, for starters, the very first thing we did was we contracted attorneys, and we created this as a business. It's a registered LLC in the state of Connecticut, right? So it's a registered business here. So we're treating it as such. It was very important for Zach. We're very much integrity first, and so it was very important for us, Zach and I, to treat this with respect to how, you know, how cryptocurrency is going to be viewed moving forward. So for us, we decided to treat this as a security, right? We don't know how crypto is going to be classified, but what we wanted to make sure was that we were as SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, SEC compliant as possible in the United States. So what that means is we actually had to have a subscription agreement, or a token agreement, if you will, vesting agreement with our private sale members, which they had to sign, and which they also had to sign that we're allowed to publish its terms. Right? It's very long. It's like 25 pages long. But in any event, basically the long and short of it is they were given 1 billion tokens for 1,000 for each $1,000 increment, right? And the total raise was $80,000. We did that over the summer, and we did it all word of mouth. So part of being SEC compliant was that we're not allowed to solicit. We aren't allowed to go out and ask people for, for their money. We're not allowed to send even as much as an email. Everything had to be word of mouth, friends and family, and that's kind of who it was. Or friends and family, and then maybe they brought a friend in. So we were grateful for the opportunity because it's people who we know and trust, like Zach's grandmother, right? So it's people very close to us, some of our closest friends, which for us, speaks to, number one, that they trust us implicitly, that they're willing to give us their money, especially for this startup. But they also really, and I speak about it often, is that they're not so much invested in Two Lands token. Many of them don't even know what crypto is. They're older. But what they are invested in is Zach and I personally. They believe, they know what we're able to achieve here in the United States, just in the multi-million-dollar companies that we currently run that we don't even own. So they know once we actually own something, the sky's the limit for where we can take this thing. That agreement also had stipulations in order to be SEC compliant. One of those stipulations, or it was the vesting schedule. It was a minimum of 1 year that they had to lock up their tokens, right? And they'll be third party as well. Now, after 1 year, they'll be given the opportunity to withdraw 25% of that, okay? Couple things happen. Number one, they're able to withdraw that 25%. And if they do, they're not given the little added bonus that we did. So 25% will be able to be withdrawn after 1 year, right? However, the rest of their tokens, the additional 75%, will be available to them after a full 18 months. All their coins will be available. But in order to stagger people, claiming their tokens and selling them, we wanted to make it so it would be in intervals, or at least control it a bit. So what we decided to do was, after that 1 year term, just prior to that, we're going to reach out to all our private sale members, who we talk to regularly anyways, because they're close family and friends. And we're going to offer them the opportunity to lock their tokens for an additional year. With that, we will give them 10% back on their initial investment out of our wallets as a thank you for them locking it. And it's funny, already two things are happening. They're already telling us that they're absolutely going to lock their tokens because they know we're in it for long term. But they're actually already asking for whitelist spots because they want in on that too. So it's a testament to, I think, how much they trust us and how excited they are about this project. Zach, I'm going to let you talk briefly about the math of it all, because you're the math whiz. But he likes to talk about how, even if they withdrew their 25%, I think essentially it takes back, like, even if we dipped 50%, it would essentially cover 75% of their risk. You want to add to that?
Exactly right. Well, you nailed it, man. Yeah, we wanted to come at it from the perspective of, how do we protect everybody here? We know, to an extent, nobody really trusts anybody that they don't know. And we have a really awesome private sale group that we all know personally, and everybody kind of knows everybody. But that won't be the case come public sale. So we wanted it to be the case that our public sale members could have confidence in the fact that our private sale is acting with integrity as well. Part of that is that, we just take it out of their hands. So we incorporated this vesting schedule with that in mind, knowing that we wanted to stagger liquidations, being that liquidation events often tend to be a focus for, flippers. it is one of those things. We wanted to make it so that people couldn't anticipate, say, any more than 2% of total circulating supply at any time being, in movement out of the private sale group, just because of the fact that 8% does represent a significant share of circulating supply right out of the gate and will likely represent a significant share of circulating supply going forward. It is one of those things. We didn't want people to lose confidence in them as well. So Jared hit the nail right on the head. What we did was we incorporated this incentive model to give our private sale members incentive that maybe they didn't need, but additional incentive to lock their tokens for up to 2 years. Now, for those that wanted to, cover their risk, they can, even if we, like Jared had mentioned, dip 50% post public sale, they can cover their risk to the tune of 75% with a 25% liquidation. Now, that would essentially mean that those people who do cover their risk are far less likely to need to cover their risk going forward. So anybody who is volatile in the early going and maybe looking to either cover risk or take profit in the early going, and will do so after 12 months, will also be much less likely to do so after the 18 months. And they will likely let their tokens mature a bit further. So in that sense, we think everybody can have a little bit more confidence in the fact that our private sale group, as well as our team, are all looking at this as a very long-term project. It is something that we are personally invested in. And the other thing in that sense that I would like to mention real quick is that Jared and I, personally funded this project. We are fully bought in. This is a passion of ours. It is something that we have worked, tirelessly on for a year plus, and we've personally invested time, money, and a ton of energy. So it is the case that this private sale that came in is a huge budget for us to use going forward. And we can do some development. We can do lots of cool things with marketing. And what we'd like to do with a public sale windfall would be even more. So we do have some plans we'd love to talk about. But do you guys have any focuses that you'd like us to hone in on right away?
I just wanted to add one more thing too. 2 points to consider is, in the better part of 2 months, let's just say over the summer, we were able to raise roughly $80,000 word of mouth just by asking family and friends, right? And no one even knew what crypto was. So imagine what we could do with some real money. So let's start there. And number two, I also wanted to add, in order to be SEC compliant in the United States, there needs to be some criteria met. And we needed to be compliant, so we needed to, be very stringent in that regard. There's something called accredited and non-accredited investors. And basically what it basically means in a nutshell is, in order to, the majority of your investors have to be of high net worth, where if they lost their initial investment, it wouldn't hurt too much for them, right? They're not going to lose their house. And, unless they're not, none of them were corporations or anything like that. So basically all it states is, the majority of our investors had to be accredited, and basically how that's defined is they needed to have a net worth of at least $1 million, or I think with their, if they were a husband and wife team, I think it was like $200,000 or $300,000 that they had to make annually for a certain, I think it was 2 or 3 years in a row. But my point is that I'm trying to make is, our largest private sale investor was $8,000. Everyone else fell within the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 range. So there's only one person holding $8,000 worth of this token. So my point is for these high net worth people that are in our project that are worth north of $1 million, or at least make $200,000-$300,000 a year, their $1,000 or $3,000 investment is chump change to them. That's like them going out to dinner for a couple nights with their wife. So we're confident that, because we have such high net worth people as our investors, they're just going to let this ride. They're personally invested into us, but they don't need to liquidate. They don't need to liquidate at all. That money doesn't, that money would, they probably already forgot about it. Put it that way. So we're confident that they're not going to need to sell, and they don't, because that's how the SEC insists. Basically they say, well, you got to find people that can afford to lose this no problem and aren't going to lose sleep at night, basically. So that's who our investors are. I just wanted to make that point.
Thank you so much for a brief explanation. So, should I move towards the Twitter segment? I mean, people have a lot of questions.
Yeah, fire away.
Okay, so first one is Aberdeen initiative sounds very awesome. So, will there be any charity wallet for people to donate for Aberdeen initiative?
Yes. So we are working on just building out a payment portal of sorts. They're honestly not that hard to come by, and we're lucky that we have some existing code to work with. One of our core team members now, our strategic consultant Tony, he has created this company called Moonbound Consulting that has worked with a number of amazing projects. One of them is Cure Token, and Cure Token is run by a good friend of his. He built out a wallet and a payment system integration that allows for donations. What we'll likely be doing is something very similar, in which within our ecosystem, when you buy our Two Lands token, there will be a small percentage donated with every successive transaction to the Aberdeen Initiative, or to one of our DAO initiatives. So there are going to be multiple ways in which you can kind of engage on that altruistic front. If you do have that real altruistic streak like we do and you want to donate, we're going to give you many ways with which you can. So the DAO is first and foremost the focus in that regard, in that's how we'll be articulating and handing out lots of these big ticket donations. So that is certainly a focus. But on a micro level, being that we know that there are lots of projects out there that are stalling for all kinds of reasons, and they may not be in need of, say, $10,000 or $50,000. They may need water bottles for the workers that are, doing their archaeological dig. They may need, a little bit of extra support in the form of, let's say, publishing. I brought that up earlier. It is a very tough thing to get yourself published across 10 different sets of metadata, 15 countries with, 8 different languages. And that access, that cost, can prove very damaging to a project, in the sense that if they can't find a way to do it, they may not get further funding, and the project may stall, and their second, third, fourth, and fifth phases may never come to fruition. So the Aberdeen Initiative is going to be a place in which projects can detail a lot of their hidden costs, their project progress, as well as a lot of content. And we'll give our community members the ability to engage with those projects through kind of a direct chat, but also via a donation platform. You'll be able to execute mini donations, small scale, in the form of items that these projects will, essentially detail themselves. So the conceptualized idea is such that projects will then be given a direct link to their community and to their supporters, to a group, our group of supporters, people who have invested in a project that does see a value in the work that these archaeologists and these academics are doing. We think that will be incredibly valuable to them, but it will also be incredibly valuable to us and to our community. So that is how we kind of plan on executing large ticket and micro donations within the context of this ecosystem. And like I had mentioned, a wallet of sorts. We won't necessarily do a proprietary wallet right away. That's, perhaps something that we can look to others, for some guidance on. But in terms of a payment portal and the execution of additional donations, and the creation of another revenue source, if you care to call it that, for our DAO community, that will certainly be a part of our V1 rollout, and that will be an integration with our website. I hope
Cool.
that did
So
it.
let's move towards.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it did. So what's the second question is what is the motivation of starting this project and what is the real purpose of this project and what do you what could your project look like in 2022 and beyond?
Well, I
Great
think,
question. Yeah,
yeah,
Jared, jump in.
I just think two things. Number one question. If you guys want to look at our website too, at the very end there might be some of the questions that we picked didn't touch our play to earn game that's in the works, and levels have been already developed. So I would encourage you to maybe check out our game trailer at our website twolandstoken.com, and maybe we can answer some questions about that at the end too. But I think we kind of covered the motivation. The motivation was passion first, because if there isn't passion in anything you do, it's not going to succeed. So the very first thing that Zach and I had to identify was what are we passionate about, and then how we can help, and how can we use blockchain, as a way, as essentially a vehicle to take where everyone, meaning our investors, have a stake and make money and potentially gain financial freedom, but at the same time, in and of itself and through the transactional tax, helping to fund something that is so grandiose, which is our origin story. Who are we as a species, and where did we come from, and how can we help these people to better do their job? I speak it all, about it often, that the philanthropists of today, your Elon Musks and your Jeff Bezos and all the big shots, they're more concerned with going to space, right? But there's still so much left to learn here on our planet, right? About who we are and where we came from. So that's essentially the nuts and bolts of this project, the passion behind, helping to rewrite our history, helping. I mean, they're finding things every day, right? Just the other day they uncovered a whole new tomb that they didn't know, in Egypt, about a queen that they didn't even know existed. So our, we want to help these projects keep doing the good work, boots on the ground, but also the research. We want to come at it from both ends because they work hand in hand, right? So that's the passion behind it. I think where we see ourselves in the next couple of years. Well, Two Lands is a brand in and of itself. We treat it like that. So sure, the blockchain aspect of it is just one piece of this incredible, huge ecosystem. So Zach and I were talking about it yesterday. Where do we see each other in 1 year? Well, we already know the town where we're going to pick our office. Probably have satellite offices. We're treating this as a big business. So we intend to do this full time as our regular jobs. And let me put it this way: I got a 12-year-old daughter that I got to put through college, so I'm going to be taking this extremely seriously.
Yeah, and where we see this going in the future is in a lot of ways informed by the community. One of the things that we've really, really enjoyed about these AMAs, about our kind of just Telegram interactions, our casual entry into a number of additional groups, perhaps not within the AMA space, but an integration and engagement. We've gotten so much good feedback, even within our private sale when we were talking to all of our friends and family. Many were not very crypto-centric, but had a lot of good things to offer. People are always going to give you honest feedback if you ask, whether they want to or not, in the sense that if you get enough, you'll start to be able to pick out where the commonality lies in all of it. And that is where truth lies. It's in the overlap. So we got so much good feedback and continue to, and it's really informed our project as we've grown. So we've taken our time with this. We are extremely pragmatic when it comes to execution. We don't like spending money on frivolous things. We don't. And that's why we personally invested in this project, and we're not spending our private sale money right now. We would like for it to be the case that we are invested not just financially, but we're motivated financially. We're really motivated. We're also just motivated by the passion. So when it comes to where we see this going, the sky is the limit in a lot of senses. But I think, to give you some real kind of color, we have conceptualized a number of games. We've conceptualized a number of different facets of this ecosystem, and the Everdeen initiative will grow the DAO will grow, and so will our P2E games. So our initial utility, as we look to offer to the market, some kind of a way to use our token to engage with our community and to perhaps take rewards, enjoy actually being a part of the Two Lands community. That will be very much rooted in the GameFi aspect of things. So we are currently developing a utility concept and building out a number of infrastructures around the concept of puzzle and trivia games that will be released with prize pools. They'll be released in association with a collection of exclusive NFTs. We're lucky that we have a guy like Tony on our team right now. His project that he grew is called Micropets, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with Micropets, but it's one of the few P2E games that actually works right now, and it's a real product. One of the things that he has kind of hammered into us over and over again is that, we need something that actually works. And so in terms of a minimum viable product, something that we can offer to the market that would be really fun and also niche specific, something that works for our audience. If you like academics, if you like history, if you like altruism, if you like, crypto to an extent, there's a lot of overlap in puzzles, gaming, and trivia. So we have a lot to work with when it comes to the Two Lands brand, as Jared called it. We're branded with ancient Egypt. It's a highly consumable area of the world. It's branded with lots of gold and hieroglyphs and cryptics, and it plays right into the puzzles and trivia of things. So we're going to be releasing a little, suite of, in a way, interoperable, games of sorts that will allow people to buy additional assets, to engage with our ecosystem, to have a reason to really use our token without it affecting our price. I love the way that we're building out the mechanics in this sustainable ecosystem. It's going to be extremely cool to look at. So it's one of those things. Keep an eye out for our V2 of the white paper. It's going to include a lot more, and that is something that we can't wait to talk more about. But in terms of offering more to the market as we build, we are starting to engage with all kinds of puzzle groups. We actually sat down and had a meeting with the original developer of the Cryptex, of which I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with the movie The Da Vinci Code, but the Cryptex was what was used to store information in ancient times, and it included a glass vial that would break if a combination was not entered correctly into a cipher of sorts. And we got to talk to this guy who built the actual Cryptex for the movie and developed the one that exists in real life. He has kind of locked into a number of these groups, and he started to put us in touch with some really cool people in this space. We're also very lucky to have another team member who is heavily involved in the gaming space from a traditional sense, board games, puzzles, and all kinds of stuff like that. He's begun to get us involved in those communities and really started to help us build out those channels. So where we see this going is pretty much everywhere, but we love staying tongue-in-cheek with it. We love having fun with it. We want to explore things. We want people to find their inner curiosity, find their inner explorer, and be able to make some money while they do it, feel like they're investing in a project that is investing in the world and our origin story, and perhaps make some life-changing stuff happen. So that's kind of my answer to that, and I apologize for being so long-winded.
No problem. Okay, so do you intend to attend non-crypto investors to your project? And because the quantity of new investors attracted by a project determines its success. And what tactics do you have in place to create non-crypto knowledge so that they may invest in your community?
Well, yeah. I think Zach just touched upon it a bit. So we see ourselves as a brand, right? So one of the things that I don't think enough projects in the blockchain space do is go into other sectors. You know, a lot of them are focused specifically on blockchain, but they don't realize that there's a lot of other, you know, target markets and demographics out there that aren't necessarily into crypto, or at least haven't had that way to get involved in it, or don't know how to. So we're already in talks with developing our own board game, regular tabletop board game that you would sit around and play with your family, that could go into stores, right? That will be very much on brand, very much on theme, perhaps have NFTs, you know, included somehow. We're fleshing it out. We already had our very first call. So we're trying to figure that out, how we can release that in tandem, you know, to release, you know, to basically hit other markets that people don't necessarily, you know, attack because they're so
And
focused
really
on
have an
blockchain.
appreciation for the Web3 aspect too. We want people to be able to have tangible goods. They have to have tangible utility, things that they can actually do to transact with the token in order for there to be any real value. Honestly, one of the big issues and one of the reasons why we really built into the space, and it truly factored into our mindset when we were thinking about developing a project initially, was that we saw so many bad actors out there. We saw so many operating with poor business sense, with poor business tactic, and poor structure. It was very loose. It was very fast, and it's exciting. It's really fun. It means that you can get yourself access in a lot of really cool and interesting ways. I think Telegram, this actually right now is a perfect example of how, you know, you can have access to, say, a group of 680 people. You're all wonderful, by the way. Thank you so much for being here. But, you know, all from around the world, all walks of life. And we're coming together for, you know, a meeting. This is really, really cool. This doesn't necessarily happen in a lot of other industries, in a lot of other spaces. And this is something that happens very regularly within the crypto community. So in terms of how we saw this, it was an opportunity to kind of differentiate ourselves and to have an appreciation for the fact that most projects have not been doing a lot to really instill value in themselves and in their communities. The value really comes in how strong the community is and their support behind the token, and not selling and holding. But we want to give real utility, real use case, and real ability to have confidence in the fact that we're building more to allow for more value. The value proposition has to match the expectation. Otherwise, your token price is going to go down. It's that simple. So that's our mindset. We need to build things for people to actually use and enjoy. And, you know, also generate some awareness about an issue that we're really passionate about, and maybe make a difference in the space. So, thank you.
Okay, so welcome. So staking NFT is very important. So do you think you will apply NFT technology to your products in achieving your goals? And what is the importance of community in your point of view? How much community is important in your point of view?
The community is of paramount importance. I mean, I think we can all have an appreciation for the fact that we see, you know, the Shiba Inus, the Dogecoins of the world doing all kinds of incredible stuff. And a large reason behind that is the strength of community. People coming together, rallying around a cause, rallying around a technology. Honestly, the network effect, of which when people see other people doing things, they like doing that too. It's just a networking thing in a lot of ways. It's basic human psychology, but it is such a strength of crypto. We see it in the traditional markets now too, actually. You know, the GameStops of the world, the meme stocks that are starting to erupt, Bed Bath & Beyond, the most recent. But it is incredible for us to kind of watch that and not have an appreciation for what it could mean for business. So if real business was applied to blockchain technology and its solutions started to, you know, really propagate and be leveraged within traditional business, we would see mass adoption at a higher rate, and we'd be able to, you know, generate a community out of the next wave of crypto investors. So that's kind of our focus, as well as, capturing those in the existing crypto market who do have an appreciation for that understanding as well. It truly is so important to have informed investors. Otherwise, there is a lot of FUD, and people are shaken by FUD. So we want to make sure that people are well informed, not just about our project, but also about how these things really work, how it's important to, identify certain things in the project that add value, that add to the value proposition. And, sustainable models are important too. So in terms of identifying out of a tokenomics model and a circulating supply and, the equivalency associated with that in a market cap, we want people to know what it is they're buying. And we want them to understand our thought process, which is we have to add as much utility and as much use case as possible.
Yeah, and just to add to that too, we listen to the community. It's very important for us to take feedback. Look, no one knows everything, and community members, especially ones that are really heavily into crypto, know a lot. So, one of the things we speak about as far as leadership's concerned is, you got to know when you don't know something, and you got to find the right people to reach out to that can get, that can give you the information and the insight you need. That's the first step. So we're always soliciting feedback from our community. It's very important to us. We listen. That's how you learn. And when you learn, you grow. So yeah, community essentially is like family. And for those that do join the community, you'll often see, be it on any one of our socials, that not only do I go live, but I often make daily videos. Just because at the end of the day, we feel it's not just about the project. You're investing in us, just similarly to like our private sale members did. So in order for you to invest in us, you have to trust us. And the only way to trust us is to get to know us. So yeah, I want you to get into our brains and see how we tick, see what gets us up in the morning and makes it, and why we're so passionate. And the only way to do that is to be front and center, to be able to answer your questions, get to know me on a personal level. So that's why I tend to go live, and I'll do more of that. And that's why you'll see lots of videos. It could be anything. It could be me wishing my mother a happy Mother's Day. But I tend to do it often because I think it's just so important for people to kind of get to know who we are as people first, project second, if that makes sense. Are you folks there? Zach, did you want to maybe touch on, we might have lost her, but do you want to maybe touch on the NFT staking and such? I'm not sure how much we want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be happy to. So, guys, what Jared just mentioned about NFT staking is actually associated with the early utility that we want to offer to the market. It is a pretty green concept, and we're still working out the technicals, but it is very exciting. Really, really happy to announce that we will be doing an exclusive line of NFTs associated with all of the pharaohs of ancient Egypt. Those pharaohs will come in the form of mummies, and they will be dynamic NFTs that change when certain conditions are met. There will be a consumable that you can purchase out of our shop that will allow you to change that mummy into a pharaoh. The games that we will be releasing in lockstep with this will be those trivia and clue-based puzzle games, cryptographs and Caesar ciphers that will allow people to take profits out of prize pools. The Pharaoh NFTs will be utilized for the purpose of these games. They will provide features and benefits that won't be allowed for freemium users. So we wanted to create a staking model for these pharaohs that will be derived from their initial value, as well as the value proposition of these games. So there will be little bits of those prize pools shaved off for the purpose of a staking protocol. And if you are some kind of a passive user of sorts that doesn't care to engage with the gaming aspect, you will be able to stake your NFT for a return on your initial investment. Now, I'm also really happy to talk about another aspect to this that we want to kind of highlight and focus on, something that will be relatively unique to this ecosystem. We have a custom-built solution at our disposal that will allow for the custody and transfer of custody of these Pharaoh NFTs for a select portion of time in exchange for rewards model being built. So what we can do is allow for a lending model to take hold against these prize pools, in the sense that we want semi-passive or semi-active users who maybe don't necessarily want to lock and load and stake their NFT, but care to engage in the games and perhaps optimize the experience on the gaming end, optimize their reward profile on the gaming end. They will be able to lend out their NFT and its features and benefits for select periods of time and select instances, for entries, individual entries into our games, and earn rewards and shares of those prize pools. So there will be a social aspect to these games that will allow for people to lend out their NFTs to others and engage in gameplay and earn money. So that's fun. And we're really, really excited about it. We are currently in build, actually. So, you know, this is something that Tony is really heavily consulting on. He's informing the process quite a bit, and we will likely be utilizing a lot of his expertise going forward. So that's my short and sweet pitch on that early utility and the NFT staking model that we will be employing. You know, please feel free to give us some feedback. By the way, like I said, it is in build. You know, we love hearing all kinds of stuff at this point, even if it is negative. No problem.
Cool. So this was all about the Twitter segment. Let's move towards the live segment. Let's see what people have to ask. Before moving towards the live segment, I will remind people that don't forget to follow the rules. First one is Jetson. Jetson Lucas, you are unmuted.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you?
Can I ask my question?
Of course.
I saw that many projects were unstable for a short period of time. At first, they started with hard work and good attention. After a few months later, they did not pay attention to this project. Then it ended there. How do you plan to survive in the market? It's my question.
Great question. Yeah, so first and foremost, I'm going to go back to that utility that I talked about. So I want to make sure that the value proposition matches the expectation going forward. And what we're talking about building here is largely automated. Now, it will require maintenance. It will require, you know, a team of developers. It will require build outs. And we want to release more and more and more. And in order to do that, the existing infrastructure it can't actually have the ability to take away from our ability to build more. So we need there to be growth. And it is one of those things. It's a hard thing to do, but when you manage things properly and you build out the right team, the right time, the right incentive, you will have success. So we want people to have a real appreciation for the value that we're looking to offer in terms of sustaining through a, you know, say bear market, a tough time. That value will be intrinsic to a lot of the utility that we offer. So are people actually enjoying the games? Are they using them? Are they engaging with them? Are people being able to take some profits? Are they able to make back their investment? Are they able to in some way find a return on their time, energy, or money? It has to be the case that they, regardless of season, regardless of sentiment, regardless of our, you know, personal involvement, even, they have to have confidence in the infrastructure that was built and the utility that has been offered to the market. So we are focused on making sure that that is matched, especially in the early game.
Thank you so much, sir, for your good answer. Best project.
Thank you so much.
I would real quick just like to
I have
add one
allowed
thing.
beer.
Just to add one little tidbit about that is also that's why we surround ourselves with good people, right? That's why we hired
Hello, sir.
Moonbound Consultant as a strategic consulting
Can I ask
partner
my
and
question?
teammate.
Just wait, he is speaking. Zach, your sound is very, very low.
Can you?
What
This is
is your
Jared. Can
project
you hear
goal
me
in the
now?
to lead the crypto market? And what is your future project to be attract new non-crypto users, which will be provide good project to lead us?
Well, like I had said, we're trying to not only brand as from a crypto aspect, blockchain, but also on other revenue streams, right? It's really important to us from a brand perspective. When you can start getting into other sectors, business sectors, not only is there different avenues where you can drive revenue to this project, but also you can potentially attract those people into the blockchain side of things, right? Introduce people that into our project, the crypto related part that wouldn't necessarily have been there in the first place. So there's some cross pollination there. So in addition to the board games and the puzzles that we might just make, and that we're looking into making just from a regular tabletop board game perspective, I've also been in discussions with a major beer company here in the United States. Believe it or not, ancient Egyptians were very big into beer, so much so that they were rewarded when they built the pyramids at Giza. So I've been in discussions with us actually having our own beer here in the United States, which would not only create major brand awareness, but also it would just be fun, and it's another profit, another revenue stream for something that isn't crypto related, but hopefully would drive people to it, and perhaps even do a limited NFT collection with them as well.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
And just to add too, we're looking to other partnerships. Like for instance, I already had a conversation with someone who owns the first VR university here in the United States in New York City. So we're moving forward. We're figuring out how they can accept Two-Lands token for people to go to college. Eventually, we'd like to give scholarships to people to attend that university. So we're trying to come from a lot of different aspects. Education is paramount to us, so that's why we're looking into that kind of stuff as well.
Hey, hello.
Hi there.
Hello. What's up?
Having a nice morning. How are you?
I'm fine. My question is, I think that in this time, security is very important part of crypto place. So how do you manage your security?
I'm sorry, I got a little bit of feedback. Would you mind repeating that question?
My question is, how do you manage your security?
Excellent question. So we are lucky enough to have partnered with a great team of developers. I encourage you guys to look into them if you ever need any blockchain development done. They're based out of Ukraine, and they're called Red Duck. They are a team of highly experienced developers. They have constructed our smart contracts. They kind of continue to be active team members when we need consult. They are very reliable, and they're actually listed as partners on a couple of different projects. We've been able to really kind of lean on them in terms of the security aspect. But from an auditing perspective, we had our first contract audited, and we came back with a score of, I believe, 98.9. It was on SafeView audit. We will be doing more comprehensive audits of all of our smart contracts. We will make that very public for everybody to see. Keep in touch, because we will have those coming down the line. But the mechanics of the system are going to be audited from multiple perspectives, from multiple places, almost continuously. So we have a team that is related to our technical security. From an accounting perspective, We do have a couple of team members that are of an accounting background. Let's see, Jared and I run a couple of businesses ourselves, that do also require accounting of sorts. And in terms of the way that we provide the security is in resource. Our security is heavily rooted in resource of experience, resource of time, resource of energy, and financial resource. So we are in a significant space and place with regard to that security. Do you have any kind of focuses on the security aspect? Was there a specific channel you wanted me to pay attention to? In my answer, at least, what is it you're most concerned with in that security aspect?
What do you say?
I think he's asking about any auditing.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So we had our first audit done. It came back very, very positive. We were listed in the top 3 projects, I believe, on the site. And SafeView audit is well regarded. It's credible. They've done well, and that is our first audit. I will say the early development going, it's going to likely be the case that we'll be doing more comprehensive audits as time goes on. So that would be my answer first and foremost, is keep your ear to the ground.
Yeah.
Just keep your ear out for more on that front, because we'll only look to validate your concerns and make sure that you are made whole in that sense. As for right now, I'm not gonna blow smoke up your butt, man. We haven't done comprehensive audits yet on these contracts, but we'd be happy to post the code. Once we do release, we want everything to be totally public. So as of right now, some of it's proprietary. We can't do all of that. I think everybody would have an understanding for the fact that we can't give up, too much. But as we do these audits, they will be made extremely public, and we would love for feedback at that point. So right now, I think the biggest takeaway is everybody in this chat can have an impact. You can all engage with our community and find a way to, perhaps have your voice heard in the early going. We are still capable of being flexible. So that is exciting.
Okay. Thank you for your answering.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. And I appreciate the directness.
Does anyone have a question? Maybe we lost her. Does anyone have a
Hello,
question
sir.
regarding our
Can I ask my
play?
question?
Sure, of course. Go ahead.
My question is, how old is your project? What are the major plans ahead? And could you show to us image of your roadmap?
Yeah, so everybody, I would encourage you to hop on over to twolandstoken.com. Our roadmap is on that website. We do also have our V1 of the white paper linked over there as well. There will be some updates being made, so keep your ears to the ground on that front. But if you want to take a look at the roadmap in terms of the actual breakdown, we have it all posted live on twolandstoken.com right now. Feel free to pop on over and take a look. As far as the initial going, I'll give you some color just on the releases. We're looking to do this NFT game complete with the puzzle and trivia aspect. We'll be doing a V2 of our website. We'll be getting comprehensive audits done of all of our contracts. We'll be releasing some information about certain strategic partnerships. We will be doing our public sale via a launch pad. Now, that launch pad is yet to be determined. We are currently shopping. We have a number of suitors, but we like to take our time and we are still in build. So it's possible that we actually solicit some VC backing as well. That is something that is playing into the thought process, and it is the case that we can be pragmatic. I think we can all agree the market right now is not looking great. So it is an uphill battle for any new project to fight. We don't like fighting a rising tide. We like rising with it. We would rather be a part of, a change of sentiment. So we're going to take our time. We're going to listen to the market. We're going to, while that's happening, be doing lots of further development, which could add to the value proposition that we're asking for. So in terms of defining the actual specifications of that public sale release, we're not looking to do that because we don't think it'd be in our best interest, nor in the best interest of our private sale investors, who are our primary creditors right now. So we have to keep them in mind as well as you guys in mind. So feel free to pop on over to that twolandstoken.com. But that's a lot of the early going. Is there anything you're looking for an answer on specifically with regard to early releases? Any focus of your own?
Not sure. Can you folks hear me? I just did a screen share of our website really quickly.
We could see that.
Okay. Because of the internet connection, I had originally planned, we do have a movie trailer out on that website. It's also on our YouTube, Two Lands Token Official, and all our various socials. But if you can go to twolandstoken.com, you'll be able to access everything. We also have a trailer for our Everdeen initiative. Our white papers there, all our various different social links. Our roadmap is there as well. We also have a trailer for our first play to earn game, if you will. It's an endless runner called Pyramid Scheme, and the first 3 levels have already been created. It's kind of in the vein of like a temple run. We didn't talk much about that, but the trailer's pretty cool, and you can kind of see it over there. It's a lot of fun. It's going to be very similar to Temple Run, but in ancient Egypt, where you'll be able to collect coins and tokens. And that's another thing we're looking to do from an interoperable perspective. Is this is going to be our first game that's going to be launched on the App Store, both Android and iOS. And what's great is that we had a tremendous game developer create that. Glenn, he's almost like a working team member now out of Spain. But the good thing about having Tony, formerly of MicroPets, on our project is he was able to actually bring a game to the App Store and to the Android store, which can be very challenging, especially at the App Store with crypto-related projects. So he's able to help us navigate that and make sure that we get to the place we need to be. But that's going to be a lot of fun games. And one of the things we want to do in that little arcade suite that we're developing, and one of the things, too, is we have a working plan, a relationship with Robot Sea Monster, who actually did Axie Infinity's game. They're going to be helping us after public sale launch that project, linking the crypto to Pyramid Schemes play, and we'd like to eventually make it so with Robot Sea Monster, so that we have a suite of arcade games that basically work in tandem with each other. So let's just say, for argument's sake, Zach likes to use the reference of a bubble breaker. Not that we're going to have a bubble breaker game, but if you can just envision that you broke a bubble, an NFT dropped, and perhaps you can then use that NFT to buy a different skin or a power up in our Pyramid Scheme Endless Runner game, which you can go and view the trailer already on our website. So yeah, that's a whole nother gaming ecosystem that we're also working on. That's, you can go ahead and take a look. Levels have been built. In fact, I can play it on my phone, which is pretty cool.
Hope he's happy with the answer.
Is there anyone else have any other questions?
Hello, sir. Nice to meet you, sir.
Likewise. Thanks for giving us your time today.
Hello. Hello.
Hi there.
Yes, sir. We're listening. How are you?
Yeah, fine. And you?
Doing well. Thanks again for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Okay. I have a question, sir. Can I ask?
Of course. Please fire away.
Currently, the market condition is very bad. At present, how satisfied are you with your project and how hopeful are you to survive in the market?
Yes, great question. So, we're in no hurry to release. We had we had originally intended to release this project back in May, and then we pushed it into the fall, and then we were thinking late December. But and now we're looking at it definitely after the new year because we really want to launch this new NFT utility in tandem with our launch. So as soon as we build that out, but we're following the market every day. We also have, in addition to Tony from Moonbound Consulting, formerly of Micropets, we also have hired Kryptonite Marketing as a strategic partnership. And they have a lot of experience in this space, and they've worked with a lot of very large projects. So we think we have a pretty good advisory team, if you will, and we're kind of looking at it on a day by day basis. Essentially, the thought process is we're going to be locked and loaded, ready to go as soon as the market conditions look like there's some excitement in the space. Well, then we're going to release. But what I can tell you is two things. Number one, we're fortunate that our private sale investors, they want to see this project flourish. And as I had said, there, a lot of them are friends and family or friends of friends. And a lot of them are high net worth. So we don't feel the pressure of them to say, all right, we got to release this project immediately, or they're patiently waiting. They check in with us from time to time. We send them, some newsletters. We wish them all, a happy Thanksgiving. But so we don't feel the pressure like a lot of other projects to release immediately. So for us, timing is everything. And we say it often, and I say it often. I don't really care how great your project is, but in these market conditions, you're going to be fighting a real uphill battle because there's no excitement. There's a lot of FUD. So as soon as that starts to settle down, hopefully in early 2023, we're going to be ready to go, and we're going to ride that wave up. One more thing I'd like to add to that is we are an ERC20, so we are on the Ethereum blockchain. So just to make that note. So we're monitoring it closely, and we're going to make sure we're ready to go when there's excitement in this market again. So we'll take it day by day.
We are done with all 5 questions, and the floor is yours. And let's end this session with your words. Do share something if you want with our community, and let's end.
Well, we love to end with gratitude first. Thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate your time, your insight. We'd love for you to be a part of the community, give us your feedback, engage with us. Take part. We're doing some contests in the group as well. If you care to win a couple bucks, we're doing some shilling. We love to target the groups that may have an interest in our project. Let's grow this thing together. And if you care to, we'd love your help. But if you also just care to follow along, please hop into the group and check in from time to time. We'd love that too. But above all else, thank you for your time today. And thank you so much for your questions, your time, and your diligence.
So much for joining us today, and thank you so much for sharing such useful information with our people. And I wish you very good luck. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Take good care,
Bye now.
everyone.
Thanks again, everyone. Be well now.